G'day, Wade here. Welcome to A Farrier's Life. Why would we even need to shoe a horse? Well, some horses we don't need to shoe. They have fantastic conformation. Their feet are nice and strong and tough. They're doing things that they're built to do and that they're suitable and capable of doing. So we don't need to shoe. Other horses, we definitely do need to shoe. They're built to withstand the demands. Some of them aren't even built to withstand no demands. There's lots of things which are at play when it comes to deciding whether you want to shoe a horse or not shoe a horse. So at the end of the day, the first question you've got to ask yourself, is your horse sound? Is he sound just walking around in the paddock? Is he sound coming up the driveway? Is he sound under saddle, taking him out on a ride? If he's not sound, then maybe there's something a little wrong. Maybe he needs a little bit of extra protection so that he can handle walking across the terrain, doing the things that you're requiring of him. There's lots of things which you need to consider and which allows a horse to either go barefoot or would require them to be shod. We'll get into that in later videos, but in this little video, I'm just going to talk you through a little trim on a horse who's never had shoes. Little Nacho, I believe his name is. Performs perfectly sound, gets ridden a lot, but grows a very thick hoof wall and has conformation which is perfect for a barefoot horse. That's it, you know. Okay, so Nacho's in. He had his feet very narrow and very close together there, so I waited for him to shift his weight. He sort of wasn't getting it, so I just leant into his shoulder a little bit, and that just helped him spread his back feet nice and wide so that he's balanced in order for us to get the job done nice and comfortably. So I'm picking this foot out really well, and you see there I'm really digging in and getting right around the white line down the side of the frogs. It's important we make sure we pick out any stones, grit that can be trapped there. The white line is the area between the hoof wall and the sole. It's like, you know, the junction between your fingernail and the soft tissue, connective tissue, attaching your fingernail to your finger. So the white line is that boundary between the two areas. It's very easy to get grit and dirt sort of lodged down there. I'm taking a hoof knife and I'm just cutting out some flaps of frog tissue. That's the frog, that's the triangular pad in the centre of the horse's foot there. You see I just took off the corners to help it naturally clean out a bit better, and any other sort of tissue that I feel is ready and needs to come off. So I'll take a pair of hoof nippers now, and I'm actually just trimming above the line that my hoof pick made. My hoof pick, when I was scratching around the white line, creates a bit of a line there, a visible line, and I like to use that to trim to, so I'm not trimming them flat to the sole tissue. I'm leaving a little edge on, and you can see how thick the hoof wall is. Super thick hoof wall. And this pony's I'm not sure the size in hands. I don't sort of get into that too much, but it'd be like a 13 hand pony with feet the same size as a full grown horse, you know. Hoof wall was about 3 times thicker than the average thoroughbred. So you can see why this horse is more suitable to go barefoot, because of the sheer thickness of that hoof wall, which offers a lot of support. His sole would be very thick as well. His frog's nice and healthy, even though we're in very wet climates, and the frogs over here tend to be a little bit deteriorated. They do suffer from being soft and fungal and bacterial infections. They do sort of degenerate a little bit. So I've rasped the foot sort of flat and smooth after nipping it, and then I've put a bit of a bevel on the outer edge of the hoof wall, so I don't want the It's not like trimming a horse to shoe where you want the hoof wall flat. You actually want to put a bevel on the outside of the hoof wall, and that just stops the hoof from chipping and breaking and allows for a barefoot horse to sort of go without having those chipped, jagged edges which occur if you just trim the hoof nice and flat. So we moved on to the back foot. Again, scratching right in and around that white line down the side of the frogs. This frog's a little healthier. See that nice concavity. Here's one thing to notice and to point out. If the owner is going to be doing something extensive, like riding a hell of a lot, taking this horse on a big multi-day trail ride, or he had a big sort of show jumping competition, or he had something or they were going to be riding down the road extensively for a number of days, I would actually say to this owner, let's not trim this horse, let's use the length that this horse has in terms of hoof growth, and let's wear that off. And then let's consider either tidying the foot up after, or just letting him go. But the thing is, this horse, like most horses, they live and they ride in quite soft environments. You know, this horse lives on a grassy paddock. There's no abrasive terrain, so the horse does go down the road every now and then, but it's not enough to wear out the hoof growth on a horse that has such thick hooves like old Nacho here. So we have to just trim that extra length off so that it doesn't get too long and that length doesn't start to bend and split away. And you can see quite clearly there, I've left length of hoof wall, I've not trimmed it right down. You can see the white hoof wall, it's a white pigmented foot, so you can see a very white hoof wall. Then there's a darker line, which is actually the white line. Then there's the sole inside of that line, and then there's the frog, which is a triangular shaped bit of tissue. So I've already beveled the hoof with a rasp. Now I'm just taking off the sharp edges around, tidying things up. Again, that's the bevel that I'm talking about, using the rasp at that sort of steep angle. I'm just taking any sharp edges off. Something I like to do is use a stiff wire brush, bristled brush, some soapy water and iodine, and just give that foot a really good scrub. Nice. That's a bit of a talk through the trimming process of a barefoot horse and a few things which allow a horse to function without shoes. Next one's ready. I hope you liked that video. It's a bit of an insight into what it takes to trim a barefoot horse and what type of things allow it to be possible for the horse. Thanks for watching.